Okay, good morning. It is 9:05 and I'm going to go ahead and get rolling so that I don't take up too much of your time today. Just a reminder of the 3 graded assignments for today: the estuary slides, the DE assignment, the Cornell note from Thursday, and the CFA for today. Now, before you go and take the CFA for today, what I would like you to do is to follow along in this review. This will do 2 things. It will assist you with the estuary slides assignment that you might still be struggling with, help you with the estuaries assignment you might still be struggling with, but also it should help you with the CFA for today. So one of the first question that you were supposed to do for the slides said, what are estuaries? Now you'll notice on the bottom of the screen it tells you exactly where in the article you'll find this information. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. Simple definition: estuaries are where saltwater and freshwater meet. If you want a more technical definition, it's a partially enclosed coastal body of water having an open connection with the fresh water from inland is mixed with the salt water from the ocean. This is called brackish water. Fresh and salt that are mixed is called brackish. So you've got an enclosed body of water. We call that a sound or a bay, and it's got an opening to fresh water and it's got an opening to the ocean. So you got fresh water coming in, you got salt water coming in. That mixture is called brackish water. How wide do shallow estuary waters create unique habitats for organisms living there? Organisms provide an environment for biologically diverse species. That just means a lot of different species. So fish, shrimp, crabs, clams, oysters. And that the fact that they're able to adapt to the brackish conditions, that there's a little bit of fresh, a little bit of salt. Estuaries, we call them the nurseries of the seas or nursery of the ocean. It's places where a lot of these animals will come and they will hatch and grow, and then after they turn into adults, they'll migrate back to the sea where they'll live their life as adults. Now this says fish, shrimp, crabs, clams, oysters, things like horseshoe crabs can be found there. Found a lot there. Baby sharks will come into the estuaries to have their young, and then their young will stay there while they go back out to the ocean. So you'll also find baby sharks in that area as well. Again, it's in the What is an Estuary section of the Estuaries in North Carolina article. How does the salinity in water, there's an extra T there, salinity in water, make my corrections as I go here, change as you move from inland areas out toward the ocean? Be sure to include the phrase brackish waters in your response. So again, what is brackish water? Salt and fresh mixed together. So inland areas that have no salt water, it's all fresh water, and as you move through the estuary to the ocean, salinity grows. It gets more and more salty until you get to the ocean, which is mostly salty. Tides, waves, major storms can also cause changes in the salinity as well. Hurricane comes in, more salt water is pushed into the estuary. You have the tides. During a low tide, there's more fresh water in the brackish water. During a high tide, there's more salt water. So as the tide flows in and out, you've got a change in fresh and salt water. 4 ways that estuaries provide protection. There are more than 4, but here are a few of them. Estuaries control erosion. Estuaries reduce flooding. The sandbars buffer the impacts of waves. Plants and shellfish beds, they anchor the shore against the tides so the soil doesn't get dragged away. Swamps and marshes, they take the initial impacts of ocean winds. They soak up heavy rains. They take the storm surges from the hurricanes and nor'easters, and they release that water back to the rivers and the groundwater. That's found in the Why Are the Estuaries Important section of the reading passage. The question 5, how does dredging impact fish living in an estuary? Some of you got the idea that the dirt gets kicked up from the soil, but I was looking, you didn't take it to the point of where it affects fish. So here, sediment from the dredging, that's what clouds the water, clogs up the fish's gills, so they can't breathe very well. Also, contaminants that are settled into the soil, when they dredge, they bring that contaminant back up into the water. The fish take in that contaminant, and then any humans who eat that fish get that contaminant. So it could be things like lead or other types of poisons. Again, this is found in the threats to estuary system. How could too many nutrients, question 6, how could too many nutrients impact the natural balance in an estuary? This is found in the what is an estuary section. So 2 things that can happen from too many nutrients. The first one is that algal blooms, that's algae, the algae amount numbers explode. You have too much algae, or it will cause plants to grow too much too fast. Well, the problem with that is everybody's like, oh, well, there's a lot of plants. That's a good thing. The problem is you get too many plants, and then when they die off, when they break down, they take up the oxygen that's in the water. Then you have no oxygen in the water, and it causes the fish and the invertebrates, that's things like clams and crabs and things like that, they suffocate. There's not enough oxygen for them. So too many nutrients are a bad thing. This is in a what is an estuary section. 7, list and describe 3 ways that land terrain changes, as well as how the land and the terrain change moving from Charlotte to the coastal plains. So in Charlotte, the Charlotte area, you have rolling hills, especially in the Albemarle area. There's actually mountains there. And as you get closer and closer to the coast, the land flattens out. As you move closer to the coast, you also find more lakes, more ponds, more rivers. And then as you get closer to the ocean, the air will smell slightly salty. If you've never experienced that, my guess is you've probably never been to the ocean. You can smell salt. It's kind of a unique experience. That's in the geology section of the reading passage. Now, question 8 on the question mark is the same as question 4, so we're going to skip it and continue to question 9 in the article. Question 9 was list 5 factors that cause changes in the flow of water through an ecosystem. Roads, bridges, culverts, sewage systems, pipelines, dams, all of these things are things that cause changes in the flow of water. This can also be found in the first paragraph of Threats to the Estuarine System. Now, you'll notice down on the bottom right there, there's a thing that looks like a backwards P with a number 1. That's a symbol for paragraph. It tells you that in parentheses right there. So it tells you in paragraph 1, lines 1 to 5, you can find those answers. And then the last question, question 9. List and describe 4 reasons estuaries are important for both wildlife and human activity. Both wildlife and human activity. So there's probably more than 4 if you go through the entire article, but I'm just going to give you 4 found in the Why Are Estuaries Important section. Fish caught in estuaries make up 75% of the commercial fish sold. That's fish sold in the stores. Most of that fish, 75% of it, comes from estuaries. 90% of the fish caught recreationally come from estuaries. So in other words, people that like to go out and just go fishing. 90% of the fish caught in this state are caught in the estuaries. Estuaries provide natural filtration system for the water, and estuaries protect against flooding. There's many more you can come up with to fill that gap. All right, this is what I would like you to do. Go to the CMS website, sign into Clever, then Mastery Connect, and take the Estuaries CFA. And this is what it's called, CMS Science 8 Estuaries 8E12. Go ahead and take that. It's 6 questions. Shouldn't take you very long. Yes, you can use your notes if you would like to use your notes on it. One note before you go. Next Tuesday is a work day. There will not be any work required for you next Tuesday, May 5th. So May 5th, there will be no work for you. So I hope you enjoy that day away from the computer. But I will see you again on Monday for the next live session, and I hope you have a great weekend.